A black woman gave birth to a son for the Barren CEO, but what happened next changed her life. Subscribe and tell us where you're watching us from. The emergency room at Mount Sinai Hospital was always busy, but tonight felt different. Lena Parker, a nurse, adjusted her cap again and again. Her hands were shaking as she tried to read the patient charts, but the words didn't make sense. Her mind kept going back to a night 6 weeks ago, a night that shouldn't have happened, but did. Lena, room 4 needs fresh bandages. Dr. Adrian Wells's voice pulled her back to the present. Lena nodded, happy for the distraction. She went to the storage room to grab supplies, but her stomach felt sick again, for the third time that day. She told herself it was just the hospital food, maybe a bad tuna sandwich. But deep down, she knew that wasn't true. The signs were there, the missed period, feeling sick in the mornings, the way her favorite coffee now smelled awful. That night came rushing back to her mind. She had been working as a server at a fancy charity event at the Plaza Hotel to earn extra money for her mother's medical bills. A tall, handsome man in a black tuxedo had caught her eye. He looked at her, not as a server, but as someone special. "I don't usually do this," he had said later that night, like his voice deep and soft as they sat in a beautiful hotel suite. "Neither do I," Lena had whispered back. And it was true. She wasn't the type to have one-night stands. She had always been responsible, working hard to pay her way through nursing school. But something about him had been different. Maybe it was the sadness in his eyes, or the way he had touched her face so gently, as if he wanted to remember her. He had never told her his name, and she hadn't asked. By morning, he was gone, leaving only the scent of his cologne on her skin and a memory she couldn't forget. Now, 6 weeks later, that night wouldn't leave her mind. "Lena?" Her friend Lisa waved a hand in front of her face. "You've been staring at that shelf for 5 minutes. Are you okay?" Lena forced a smile. "Just tired. These double shifts are exhausting." Lisa frowned. "You've been just tired for weeks now, and I've noticed you running to the bathroom every morning." She lowered her voice. "Is there something you need to tell me?" Lena felt her chest tighten. She took a deep breath. I think I might be pregnant." The words hung in the air between them. Saying them out loud made everything real. Lisa's eyes widened, but before she could say anything, the ER doors burst open. Paramedics rushed in with a patient. There was no time for personal talk now. Hours later, after her shift ended, Lena walked to the hospital pharmacy. She bought a pregnancy test, her hands shaking as she hid it in her purse. On the subway ride home, she felt like the world around her had slowed down. When she got home, she went straight to her tiny bathroom. The test would take 3 minutes. 3 long, painful minutes. She paced back and forth, whispering a small prayer. When her phone timer beeped, she forced herself to look. 2 pink lines. Clear. Undeniable. Life-changing. Lena sank onto the cold tile floor when the crack, still in her nurse's uniform, she wrapped her arms around her knees, trying to breathe. She was pregnant. Pregnant by a man she didn't even know, a man whose face she couldn't forget. Her mother's words echoed in her mind. "Always stand on your own 2 feet, baby girl. The minute you depend on a man, you lose yourself." But this wasn't about depending on anyone. This was about a tiny life growing inside her, a miracle she hadn't expected. No matter what happened, she would figure it out. She had to. As the morning sun started shining through her apartment window, her phone buzzed. It was a news alert. She glanced at the screen and her heart stopped. There, under the headline, "Business mogul Alex Caldwell announces major acquisition," was a photo of the man from that night, the man she had spent 6 weeks trying to forget. Alex Caldwell, CEO of Caldwell Industries, one of the richest, most powerful men in New York City. Tuts. The father of her baby. Lena's hand shook as she read the article. Words like private and business genius jumped out at her. But one line made her blood go cold. Caldwell, who has been open about his inability to have children, continues to focus on his company's expansion. The phone slipped from her fingers, hitting the floor. Impossible. She ran to the bathroom, sickness hitting her hard, tears mixed with sweat on her face. She was carrying the baby of a man who believed he couldn't have children, and nothing in her life would ever be the same again. Alex Caldwell stood in his tall office, looking out over the city. 50 stories below, people hurried through their lives. But up here, everything was quiet and controlled, just the way he liked it. His assistant's voice interrupted his thoughts. "Sir, there's someone here to see you. She doesn't have an appointment, but she insists it's important." "Tell them to make an appointment," Alex said, not turning around. His assistant hesitated. "She says it's about the Plaza Hotel from 6 weeks ago." Alex froze. For a moment he was back there, the charity gala, the unexpected connection, the night that had slipped past all his careful walls. "Send her in." The door closed, then soft footsteps followed. When he turned, she was standing there. The same dark curls, the same quiet strength. But now she wore scrubs instead of a server's uniform. Their eyes met. Neither spoke for a moment. "You're a hard man to reach, Mr. Caldwell," Lena finally said. "Yet here you are." He moved to his desk, keeping his distance. "Why are you here, miss?" "Lena Parker," she said. Then she took a deep breath. "And I think you know why I'm here." Alex studied her. He had thought about her since that night, more than he wanted to admit. "I don't meet unexpected visitors, Miss Parker. If this is about money, I'm pregnant." The words hit him like a punch. For a moment, shock flashed across his face. Then his expression turned cold. "That's impossible." "I have the test results." She pulled out an envelope. "And before you ask, yes, I'm sure it's yours. You were the only one." Alex stared at the envelope but didn't take it. His mind raced. He knew he couldn't have children. The doctors had told him so. His ex-wife had mocked him for it. "Lucas," he pressed the intercom, calling his lawyer. "Get up here now." Minutes later, his lawyer, Lucas Lawson, walked in, taking in the tense scene. "My lawyer will handle the tests," Alex said. "If this child is mine, we'll know soon enough." Lena's face turned red. "I'm not taking any tests without my own lawyer." Now something like respect flickered in Alex's eyes. "Name your lawyer. Lucas will arrange everything." "I didn't come here to fight," Lena said, voice shaking. "I came to do the right thing. And I'm protecting what's mine," Alex replied sharply. "If this child is mine, I take my responsibilities seriously." Lena lifted her chin. "I'm keeping this baby, no matter what your tests say." For a second, Alex's mask slipped. A flicker of emotion showed before he locked it away. "Lucas will be in touch," he said, his tone final. The meeting was over. Lena stood up straight, looking serious like the professional she was. "You know where to find me," she said. She turned to leave, but then stopped at the door. "For what it's worth, Mr. Caldwell, I'm sorry. I know this isn't what either of us planned." Then she left, and the room became very quiet. Alex stood still, looking at the city lights outside as they began to shine in the dark sky. "Alex," his friend Lucas said carefully, "we should talk about what to do next. We need the best doctors, the most accurate tests. I wanted to know everything, her past, her health, her money situation." Alex spoke in a cold, calm voice. "And Lucas, find out how this is possible. Someone is lying. Either the doctors who said I couldn't have kids, or her. I want to know who, and if she's telling the truth." "There are no miracles, Alex." Alex turned to look at his friend, his eyes hard. "Only facts and lies. Find out which one this is." But later that night, alone in his fancy apartment, Alex stood in a room he never opened, the nursery. His ex-wife had started decorating it before everything fell apart. His fingers touched the dusty crib, the one he never had the heart to remove. Impossible, he thought, but for the first time in years he felt something dangerous. He pulled out his phone and looked at the report his security team had made about Lena Parker. She had been the best in her nursing class. She worked 2 jobs through college. She was a mother with hospital bills. No crimes, no strange money transactions. Nothing that looked like a trick. She was just a woman whose life was about to change in ways neither of them could have imagined. Alex closed the nursery door, but this time, the sound didn't feel final. In 6 weeks, the carefully planned world he had built would fall apart, and deep down, he was afraid that he might actually let it. Catherine Caldwell's high heels made sharp clicks on the shiny marble floors of her big mansion. At 72, she was still a strong and important woman in New York. Her silver hair was styled perfectly, her posture straight like a ruler. The morning newspaper was on the table, but she wasn't thinking about the news. She was thinking about the message from her son's lawyer. "Mrs. Caldwell," Lucas Lawson's voice crackled through the old telephone. "I'm sorry to call so early, but there's a problem with Alex. A serious one." He paused slightly. That small pause told Catherine everything. "I'll be at the office in an hour." Across town, Lena sat in a cold, fancy waiting room at New York's best private hospital. Her hands were tightly folded in her lap. The leather chair she sat on probably cost more than her monthly rent, but all she could think about was the manila envelope in her bag. Inside were her medical records. She remembered the look on her mother's face when she told her the news. "Oh, baby girl," Regina Parker had said, putting aside her oxygen tank to hug her daughter. "Life's about to get real complicated, isn't it?" The door opened, and a nurse called her name. Lena stood up and caught her reflection in the window. She was still in her work uniform from her morning shift. Her curly hair had come loose from its bun. She looked out of place in this world of rich people, but she straightened her back and followed the nurse inside. The examination room had the newest, most expensive equipment. Dr. Victoria Chen, the specialist Alex had hired, walked in. She seemed kind, not cold like Lena had expected. "Miss Parker," Dr. Salva Adrian Wells greeted her with a warm smile. "I know this is an unusual situation. Let's start with a full checkup." As Dr. Adrian Wells began the ultrasound, Lena held her breath. The screen flickered on, and there it was, a tiny heartbeat, strong and steady. "About 8 weeks along," Dr. Adrian Wells said. Then her eyes narrowed at the screen. "Interesting." "What? What's interesting?" Lena asked, her nurse's training making her scan the screen for anything unusual. "Nothing bad," Dr. Adrian Wells said quickly. "Just some unusual hormone levels. We'll need to keep an eye on them. I'd like to run a few more tests, if that's okay with you." Before Lena could answer, loud voices came from the hallway. Through the small window in the door, she saw Alex arguing with an older woman who looked a lot like him. "I told you to wait, Mother," Alex said angrily. "And I told you this needs to be handled properly," the woman replied. "Do you think I'll just stand by while some gold digger—" The door swung open. Catherine Caldwell walked in. Her cold eyes took in everything. The ultrasound screen, Lena's old scrubs. "Dr. Adrian Wells," Catherine said with a sharp smile, "I trust you're being thorough." Dr. Adrian Wells's voice lost its warmth. "This is a private examination." "Nothing about this situation is private anymore," Catherine replied. She turned to Lena. "Miss Parker, is it? I'm Alex's mother. We need to have an honest talk." "Mother," Alex warned, "step outside, now." Catherine didn't listen. She reached into her expensive handbag and pulled out a checkbook. "Let's be real. This is about money. Name your price, Miss Parker, and we can all move on." The air in the room turned ice cold. Lena stood up slowly, putting a protective hand over her stomach. "I'm not interested in your money, Mrs. Caldwell." Catherine gave a fake smile. "Everyone's interested in money, dear, especially those who say they aren't." "Mother, that's enough," Alex snapped. He pulled out his phone and looked at the report his security team had made about Lena Parker. She had been the best in her nursing class. She worked 2 jobs through college. She was a mother with hospital bills, no crimes, no strange money transactions, nothing that looked like a trick. She was just a woman whose life was about to change in ways neither of them could have imagined. Alex closed the nursery door, but this time the sound didn't feel final. In 6 weeks, the carefully planned world he had built would fall apart, and deep down he was afraid that he might actually let it. Catherine Caldwell's high heels made sharp clicks on the shiny marble floors of her big mansion. At 72, she was still a strong and important woman in New York. Her silver hair was styled perfectly, her posture straight like a ruler. The morning newspaper was on the table, but she wasn't thinking about the news. She was thinking about the message from her son's lawyer. "Mrs. Caldwell." Lucas Lawson's voice crackled through the old telephone. "I'm sorry to call so early, but there's a problem with Alex. A serious one." He paused slightly. That small pause told Catherine everything. "I'll be at the office in an hour." Across town, Lena sat in a cold, fancy waiting room at New York's best private hospital. Her hands were tightly folded in her lap. The leather chair she sat on probably cost more than her monthly rent. But all she could think about was the manila envelope in her bag. Inside were her medical records. She remembered the look on her mother's face when she told her the news. "Oh, baby girl," Regina Parker had said, putting aside her oxygen tank to hug her daughter. "Life's about to get real complicated, isn't it?" The door opened and a nurse called her name. Lena stood up and caught her reflection in the window. She was still in her work uniform from her morning shift. Her curly hair had come loose from its bun. She looked out of place in this world of rich people, but she straightened her back and followed the nurse inside. The examination room had the newest, most expensive equipment. Dr. Victoria Chen, the specialist Alex had hired, walked in. She seemed kind, not cold like Lena had expected. "Miss Parker." Adrian Wells greeted her with a warm smile. "I know this is an unusual situation. Let's start with a full checkup." As Dr. Adrian Wells began the ultrasound, Lena held her breath. The screen flickered on, and there it was, a tiny heartbeat, strong and steady. "About 8 weeks along," Dr. Adrian Wells said. Then her eyes narrowed at the screen. "Interesting." "What? What's interesting?" Lena asked, her nurse's training making her scan the screen for anything unusual. "Nothing bad," Dr. Adrian Wells said quickly. "Just some unusual hormone levels. We'll need to keep an eye on them. I'd like to run a few more tests if that's okay with you." Before Lena could answer, loud voices came from the hallway. Through the small window in the door, she saw Alex arguing with an older woman who looked a lot like him. "I told you to wait, Mother," Alex said angrily. "And I told you this needs to be handled properly," the woman replied. "Do you think I'll just stand by while some gold digger—" The door swung open. Catherine Caldwell walked in. Her cold eyes took in everything: the ultrasound screen, Lena's old scrubs. "Dr. Adrian Wells," Catherine said with a sharp smile, "I trust you're being thorough." Dr. Adrian Wells's voice lost its warmth. "This is a private examination." "Nothing about this situation is private anymore," Catherine replied. She turned to Lena. "Miss Parker, is it?" "I'm Alex's mother. We need to have an honest talk." "Mother," Alex warned. "Step outside, now." Catherine didn't listen. She reached into her expensive handbag and pulled out a checkbook. "Let's be real. This is about money. Name your price, Miss Parker, and we can all move on." The air in the room turned ice cold. Lena stood up slowly, putting a protective hand over her stomach. "I'm not interested in your money, Mrs. Caldwell." Catherine gave a fake smile. "Everyone's interested in money, dear, especially those who say they aren't." "Mother, that's enough," Alex snapped. But Lena was already gathering her things, her hands shaking with anger. "Dr. Adrian Wells, thank you for your time. I'll have my own doctor contact you for the results." She pushed past Alex, ignoring him when he reached for her arm. In the hallway, she almost bumped into Lucas Lawson, who was holding a bunch of legal papers. "Miss Parker, wait!" Alex called after her. "Why?" She spun around, her eyes filled with angry tears. "So your mother can try to buy my baby? So you can run more tests to prove I'm lying? I came to you because I thought you deserved to know the truth. But I don't deserve this." Before anyone could say anything, she was gone. Catherine smoothed her silk blouse. "Well, that was dramatic." Alex turned to his mother, furious. What were you thinking? Everything about the Caldwell name is my concern, Catherine said, her voice cold. Or have you forgotten what happened the last time you let a woman into your life? Alex flinched. This is different. Is it? Catherine's eyes narrowed. That nurse is carrying what she claims is your child, and that's supposed to be impossible. Before anyone could speak, Dr. Adrian Wells pointed at the ultrasound screen. Actually, there's something you should see. She pointed to the hormone patterns. They match a rare condition, one that can cause false infertility diagnoses. Alex's whole body went still. Are you saying I might not be infertile? I'm saying, Dr. Adrian Wells met his eyes, that maybe your old doctor was wrong or lying. Lucas Lawson's face changed. Alex, we need to talk about the doctor who diagnosed you, Dr. Reynolds. Lena knew something was wrong the moment she got off the subway near her apartment. The station was too empty. She heard footsteps behind her, more than one person. She walked faster, holding her stomach protectively. Her baby kicked as if sensing her fear. A black SUV stopped next to her. The window rolled down and she saw a familiar face. Emma. Alex's ex-wife smiled, but her eyes were cold. Get in, Lena. We need to talk about your baby. Lena shook her head. I'd rather not. Two men in suits stepped in front of her, blocking her way. Emma's voice became sharp. This isn't a choice. There are things you need to understand about the Caldwell family, about Alex, about what happens to people who don't follow the plan. I'm not doing anything wrong, Lena said. A sharp pain in her neck made her gasp. Her vision blurred. She saw one of the men pulling back an empty syringe. Careful, Emma said. Catherine was clear. No harm to the baby. Lena's last thought was about the file in her locker. She hoped Lisa would remember. Hours later, Alex rushed into the hospital. Lucas was right behind him. Lisa was waiting, her face pale. She held a file in her hands. She knew something bad might happen, Lisa whispered, handing over the file. She made me promise. Inside were documents about Lena's pregnancy. There was also a letter. Alex, if you're reading this, something happened. I don't know who to trust. But I do know this baby is a miracle. Someone tried very hard to stop it from happening. Whatever the truth is about your family, this child deserves a chance. Find us. Alex's hands shook. He looked at Lucas, his voice filled with fear. Find her, no matter what it takes. Lucas was already dialing his phone. Alex, if Emma is involved, then your mother is too. Alex's eyes turned cold. Then they're about to learn what happens when someone threatens my family. In a secret hospital outside the city, Lena lay unconscious. Machines beeped around her. Emma stood by the window, talking on the phone. It's done, she said. But Catherine, there's something you need to know about the baby's test results. Catherine's voice was firm. Handle it. Do whatever it takes to protect this family. But some truths can't stay hidden, and this one was growing stronger every day. Its heartbeat was a steady reminder that no amount of money or power could stop what was coming. Alex stormed into the Caldwell mansion, rain pounding against the windows. He threw Dr. Adrian Wells's medical report on the table in front of Catherine. Where is she? His voice was low and dangerous. Catherine sat in her chair, calm as ever. I don't know what you mean. Don't lie to me. Alex slammed his hand on the table. The genetic test, Mother, the one that proves I was never infertile. The one that Dr. Reynolds faked because you paid him. Catherine's mask slipped for just a second. Everything I did was to protect you. Alex let out a bitter laugh. Protect me by letting me believe I was broken, by making me think I could never have children. You were too young to understand. I was 32, running a billion-dollar company, and you and Emma decided to play God with my life. At the secret hospital, Lena's mind fought against the drugs. She heard voices. Hormone levels still rising. Catherine wants updates every day. Keep her sedated. She forced her eyes open. The room was cold and white. Machines beeped. A tube ran into her arm, feeding her something. She turned her head. Emma was watching her. Hello, Lena. Comfortable? The baby. Lena's voice was weak. The baby is fine, Emma said. Better than fine. Do you know what makes your child special? Lena tried to focus. Something about genetics, hormones, a rare marker. Emma leaned in. Your baby proves Alex was never infertile, and that proof could destroy everything Catherine has built. Back at the mansion, Alex's anger grew. Where did Emma take her? That girl and her baby are a danger to everything we built, Catherine snapped. The Bennetts kept this family's business safe. If Emma loses her position, they lose everything. She's not my heir, Alex shouted. We've been divorced for 5 years. Without a child, she still has a claim to your fortune. That's why I had to stop you from having children. The moment you have a real heir, Emma loses everything. Alex finally saw the truth. You weren't protecting me. You were protecting them. What do they have on you? Before Catherine could answer, Lucas ran into the room holding a tablet. We found something. A traffic camera had caught Emma's SUV heading north. There's a private hospital near Carmel, Lucas said, owned by the Bennetts. Alex grabbed his coat. Get the helicopter ready. Alex, wait, Catherine said desperately. You don't understand what's at risk? Alex turned, his eyes cold. No, Mother, you don't understand. If anything happens to Lena or my child, I will destroy everyone responsible. A loud noise broke out in the hallway. People were shouting, running, and something crashed with a loud smash. Emma turned quickly, looking shocked. Through the window, Lena saw a helicopter land in the parking lot outside. The strong wind from the spinning blades made the rain fly in all directions. Alex stepped out of the helicopter. Behind him were Lucas and a group of men dressed in black, looking serious and strong. Emma grabbed a needle from the table near Lena's hospital bed. Change of plans, she said, moving toward Lena's arm. But before she could use the needle, the door burst open. Lisa rushed in, holding a big fire extinguisher like a weapon. She swung it hard, hitting Emma on the shoulder. Emma fell to the ground. That's for my friend, you crazy witch, Lisa shouted. Lisa quickly helped Lena sit up and pulled out the IV tube from her arm. Sorry I'm late. Traffic was terrible, she joked. Alex appeared in the doorway, his eyes wide as he saw Lena. Something in his face softened with relief. In 3 big steps, he reached her and pulled her into a tight hug. I'm so sorry, he whispered into her hair. Lena held on to him just as tightly. She felt their baby kick between them. It's not your fault, she said. Lisa raised an eyebrow. Actually, it kind of is, she said. But maybe let's talk about that later. First, we need to get out of this creepy hospital. Lucas was already making calls to the police. The security team had grabbed Emma and held her down, but Lena knew this wasn't over. Catherine Caldwell was still free. The secret about the powerful Bennett family was still hidden. Alex helped Lena to the helicopter. She grabbed his arm. There's something you need to know about the baby, she said, about why they are so afraid. Alex shook his head. Later. Right now, we just need to get you somewhere safe. But Lena knew safety wasn't real. Not in a world full of rich and powerful people who lied to keep control. The baby kicked again, harder this time, as if agreeing with her. This baby, this little life, had already changed everything, and this was just the beginning. The Caldwell family's lake house was big and strong, built from stone and wood. It sat on a small piece of land surrounded by water. You could only reach it by a long road or by boat. As the helicopter landed, Lena stared at the huge house. It was nothing like her small apartment in Washington Heights. The security system is the best, Alex told her as they walked inside. No one can get close without us knowing. The living room had giant windows and tall wooden beams, but Lena's eyes went straight to the corner of the room. Medical machines were already set up there. Dr. Adrian Wells stood nearby, smiling warmly. Let's check on you, okay? That drug they gave you wasn't safe for a pregnant woman. As Dr. Adrian Wells checked her, Lena watched Alex pacing the room, talking on the phone. Even though he looked tired and messy, he still had that powerful presence that made her heart race. Alex hung up and sighed. Emma is in jail, but she won't talk. And my mother, she's disappeared. She's with the Bennetts, Lucas guessed. He was watching the house's security cameras. The question is, where? I think I know, Lena said. Both men turned to her. When I was in that hospital, I saw my medical records. There was something strange in them. Emma said it was the reason they were so afraid of my baby. Dr. Adrian Wells nodded. It's the HDX7 gene. It's very rare. Only a few people in certain old families have it, and it decides who can control their family's money. Lucas's eyes widened. The Bennett family trust, of course. Alex, your father's will wasn't just about Caldwell Industries, was it? Alex sank into a chair, running a hand through his hair. No, he said. My father controlled the Bennett Trust. When he died, I was supposed to take over. But my mother handled everything and told me not to worry about it. Let me guess, Lena said. The trust can only go to someone with that gene. That's why they wanted you to believe you couldn't have kids. Exactly, Dr. Adrian Wells said. Any child you had would have the gene. That child would take away their control. Just then, there was a knock at the door. A security guard came in, holding a tablet. Sir, we found this in your mother's safe. You need to see it. Alex took the tablet. It showed years of secret emails between his mother and the Bennett family. As they read, the truth became clear. The Bennetts had been stealing money for years, and when Alex's father found out, they killed him. It wasn't a heart attack. They poisoned him. Lena put a hand on Alex's shoulder. He grabbed it, holding on tightly. There's more, Lucas said. The Bennetts weren't just stealing. They blackmailed your mother. If she didn't help them, they would blame her for everything. Alex took a deep breath. They made sure I never had a child so they could keep their power. Lena's baby kicked. She rested a hand on her belly. All this time, the Bennetts thought they had won, but now their biggest fear had come true. Later, at an old boathouse, Alex and Lena faced Frederick Bennett. He was dressed in a perfect suit, looking calm. Alex's mother sat beside him, her face stiff and cold. Alex, Frederick said with a smooth smile, and the lovely Miss Parker, please sit, let's talk. Where's Emma? Alex asked. Frederick waved a hand. My daughter is busy, but let's discuss this properly. Alex laughed harshly. Like when you murdered my father? His mother flinched. Frederick just kept smiling. Your father made mistakes, Alex. You are making them too. By having a child, by digging into things best left buried. The Bennett Trust isn't just money, Frederick continued. It's power, the kind that changes the world. It's blood money, Lena said, built on lies. Frederick looked at her closely. You're very brave, Miss Parker, or very foolish. Do you understand the danger your child is in? I understand right from wrong, Lena said firmly. Catherine sighed. Alex, you don't know the full story. Your father was going to ruin everything. If I didn't stop him, we all would have lost. He was my father, Alex said, his voice low and dangerous. And he was in the way, Frederick added. Alex clenched his fists. Lena stepped closer, her voice gentle. Alex, no matter what happens, I need you to know that night at the plaza, it wasn't just a mistake. I haven't stopped thinking about you. Before he could answer, alarms rang. Boats were coming, armed men. Get to the safe room, Alex ordered. Lena shook her head. No more hiding. We end this. Together. Alex hesitated, but she kissed him. Their first real kiss since that night. When she pulled away, her eyes burned with determination. They never expected one thing, she said. What's that? Alex asked. She smiled. They never counted on love. The final battle had begun. Outside, boats came closer, their engines loud as they cut through the quiet evening. But inside, in one small moment, everything changed. A choice was made, a promise grew stronger, and in Lena's belly, their baby, the one who would bring down a kingdom of lies, kicked again. The final fight for the Caldwell family's truth was about to begin, but this time they would not face it alone. The lake, Wellington L, was as still as glass in the fading light. The stars above shined like tiny diamonds. The old boathouse stood in the distance, its wooden walls and rusty roof telling stories of long ago. Alex turned off the boat's engine, letting it drift the last few feet. Lena felt the weight of history pressing on them both. "This is your last chance to change your mind," Alex said softly, placing a protective hand on Lena's belly. She covered his hand with hers. No way. They had left Lucas in charge of working with the police, while Dr. Adrian Wells watched over Lena's health with her special medical tools. The important papers from Catherine's safe were locked away in many secret places. No matter what happened tonight, the truth would not be lost. Alex pushed open the creaky door of the boathouse. Inside, lanterns flickered, making shadows dance on the wooden walls. The air smelled of old rope and oil. At the far end, Frederick Bennett stood tall, dressed in a fancy suit, looking like he belonged at a big event, not in an old boathouse. Next to him sat Catherine, her back straight, but her hands tight with worry. "Alex," Frederick said with a smile that looked fake, like a politician's. "And the lovely Miss Parker, please sit with us." "Where is Emma?" Alex asked, his voice cold. "My daughter is busy," Frederick said, pointing to 2 empty chairs. "Shall we talk like good, polite people?" Alex laughed, but it wasn't happy. "Like when you killed my father?" Catherine flinched, but Frederick's smile didn't change. "Your father made bad choices, just like you are now. Having a baby, telling our secrets, putting yourself in danger." He poured himself a drink, his hands steady. "The Bennett Trust isn't just money, Alex. It's power. It controls things, even whole countries." "It's dirty money," Lena said, her voice strong, "built on lies and death." Frederick's eyes flicked toward her. He studied her. "You are very brave, Miss Parker, or maybe just foolish. Do you even understand what you are stepping into? What your child will have to face?" "I understand right from wrong." "How sweet," Frederick said. He set his drink down. "Catherine, maybe you should explain what's really going on here." Alex's mother stood up slowly, her face pale. "Alex, listen to me. Everything I did, it was to keep you safe." "By letting them kill Dad? By making me feel broken?" Alex asked angrily. Catherine's face twisted in pain. "Your father didn't just die because he found out about the stolen money. He found out what the Bennett Trust was really doing." A boat engine roared outside, too close. Alex moved in front of Lena to protect her. "No one is leaving," Frederick said calmly. He pulled out a small gun. "Not until we make a deal." "A deal?" Alex's voice was quiet but full of anger. "You killed my father, lied to me my whole life, threatened my wife and child. What kind of deal could there be?" Catherine spoke in a whisper. "Politics, Alex. Defense projects. Secret plans that would make you sick if you knew the truth. Your father wanted to tell the world, and they wouldn't let him. If he spoke, they wouldn't have just killed him. They would have destroyed all of us." "You made the wrong choice," Alex said, his hands clenched into fists. Frederick stepped forward. "Then make the right one now. Sign over your rights to the trust. Let Emma stay in control. Your child will be cared for, but from far away. Everyone lives. The truth stays hidden." Lena shook her head. "So the corruption continues?" "The world runs on corruption, dear," Frederick said coldly. "You should learn that now." Above them, shadows moved. Men were taking position. Frederick's smile widened. "You have 30 seconds to decide. I should mention, my snipers have orders to shoot Miss Parker first." Alex went pale with fury, but before he could move, a loud noise cut through the night. A helicopter's spotlight burst into the boathouse. "FBI, nobody move!" The back wall exploded as FBI agents rushed inside. Everything happened fast. Frederick aimed his gun at Lena. Alex lunged at him. Catherine screamed and threw herself in front of the gun. The shot rang out. When the echo faded, Catherine lay in Alex's arms, blood on her shirt. Frederick was on the ground, shouting as FBI agents held him down. Then Lena gasped. She clutched her belly, her face full of pain. "The baby? Something's wrong." Chaos followed. Medics rushed in. Lucas appeared, giving orders. Dr. Adrian Wells's voice came over a radio, shouting instructions. The helicopter lifted into the air, racing to the hospital. Catherine clutched Alex's hand. She whispered, "I thought I was protecting you, but I was just afraid." "Save your strength," Alex said. He didn't let go of her hand. Across from them, Dr. Adrian Wells worked over Lena. "The stress triggered early labor. We need to get her to the hospital now." "It's too soon," Lena whispered, gripping Alex's hand. He held on, connecting their past and future. Below them, emergency lights filled the night. Frederick Bennett and his men were caught. Their secrets would be exposed. But Alex didn't care about that now. All that mattered was Lena and their baby coming into the world too soon. The hospital room was quiet except for the steady beeping of machines. Alex sat beside Lena, holding her hand. Dawn painted the sky golden outside. "You should sleep," Lena said softly. "So should you," he answered. Dr. Adrian Wells walked in. "Good news. The medicine is working. The baby's heart rate is stable." Alex let out a shaky breath. He squeezed Lena's hand. "But," Dr. Adrian Wells added, "the next 48 hours are critical. Any stress could bring the baby too soon." As if on cue, Lucas entered, looking serious. "Alex, we need to talk." "Not now. It can't wait." Lucas handed him an old leather journal. "Your father wrote everything down, the weapons, the bribes, the genetic experiments." "Genetic experiments?" "Yes. They weren't just stealing money. They were trying to create special children who could control the trust. Your father found out they were hurting people. That's why they killed him." "Yes. And your mother, she didn't know at first. When she found out, she started gathering proof." Alex stared at the book in his hands. Catherine appeared at the doorway, looking weak. "I know you hate me," she said, "but read his journal. See what he died trying to stop." Before Alex could answer, alarms blared from Lena's room. Nurses ran inside. "Lena," Alex shouted. Dr. Adrian Wells looked grim. "We need to operate, now." Lena gripped Alex's hand. "Promise me, no matter what happens, tell the truth." "I promise," Alex whispered, "but you promise me too. Stay, fight. Always," she whispered back. Then she was gone, wheeled into surgery. Alex stood frozen, his father's journal in his trembling hands. Catherine stood beside him. "She's strong," she said softly. "Like you. Like him." Alex opened the old book that belonged to his father. His father's handwriting looked blurry as tears filled his eyes. "My son, if you are reading this, I couldn't stop them, but maybe you can succeed where I failed." Alex read for hours while sitting in the hospital waiting room. His friend Lucas worked with FBI agents to stop the bad people who ran the Bennett empire. Alex's mother, Catherine, sat beside him, giving him quiet support as he read his father's last words. The book told a scary story. The Bennett empire had done terrible things, experimenting on people without their permission. They took children and did secret tests on them to control a special part of their DNA. But the book also talked about hope. His father had found a way to use the HDX7 gene to help people. It could cure diseases, help parents have babies, and heal the sick. Catherine looked at Alex and spoke softly. "Your baby isn't just our family's future. She is proof that science can be used for good instead of evil." Before Alex could answer, Dr. Adrian Wells walked in, still wearing her hospital clothes. Her face showed no emotions. "There were complications," she said. Alex jumped up, dropping the book. His heart pounded. Then Dr. Adrian Wells smiled. "But I believe you'd like to meet your daughter." Alex followed her to the neonatal intensive care unit. The room was filled with quiet voices and beeping machines. He stood in front of a small glass box looking at his baby girl. She was born 7 weeks early and was very tiny, but Dr. Adrian Wells said she was a fighter, just like her parents. A nurse asked Alex, "Have you picked a name?" Alex couldn't stop looking at his daughter. "We're waiting for her mother to wake up," he said. Lena, the baby's mother, was still asleep in a hospital room down the hall. She had gone through an emergency surgery to save both her life and the baby's life. Machines beeped softly around her, reminding everyone that she was still here, still fighting. Lucas appeared next to Alex. He looked tired. The FBI just finished reading your father's book. They are shutting down the secret lab in South America tonight. And Frederick, he's telling us everything. He's afraid of going to prison. Lucas frowned. What he told us about the experiments, it's even worse than we thought. What about Emma? Alex asked. Caught at the airport trying to escape. She and 3 of the Bennett leaders are in custody, Lucas said. Then he looked at Alex seriously. But there's something else, something about your daughter's blood. Alex felt his heart stop. Is she okay? A new voice answered. She's perfect. It was Dr. Adrian Wells again. She held a tablet with test results. Your daughter's DNA is different. The HDX7 gene in her is not the same as the one the Bennetts studied. It has changed. What does that mean? Alex asked. Dr. Adrian Wells's eyes sparkled with excitement. It means she might be the key to everything your father worked for. Her DNA could help cure diseases and change medicine forever, not because of experiments, but because of something natural. She is a miracle. Alex felt the weight of her words. His daughter wasn't even a day old, and already she had the power to change the world. A soft noise came from down the hall. Catherine stood at Lena's hospital room door, her arm still in a sling. She's awake, she called. Alex and Lucas hurried down the hall. Inside, Lena lay on the bed, looking pale but awake. Her eyes lit up when she saw Alex. How is she? She asked, her voice full of love and fear. Alex sat beside her, holding her hand. She's beautiful. She's perfect. She's strong, just like her mother. Tears filled Lena's eyes. I want to see her. Dr. Adrian Wells nodded and made the call to bring the baby to the room. While they waited, Alex told Lena everything, the book, their daughter's special DNA, the fall of the Bennett Empire. Lena squeezed his hand. Your father would be proud of you, of her, of what she means for the future. Catherine, standing quietly in the doorway, stepped forward. He would be proud of both of you, and if you'll let me, I want to help make sure his work is used for good. Alex looked at his mother, then at Lena. Lena gave a small nod. One step at a time, Alex said. We have a lot to rebuild. Trust most of all. Just then, the nurses arrived, carefully wheeling the baby inside. Lena gasped as she saw her daughter for the first time. Oh, she whispered, reaching toward the tiny baby. Oh, my love. Alex helped her sit up as she leaned forward to get a better look. Their daughter opened her eyes for the first time, eyes just like her father's. Eliza, Lena said suddenly. Eliza Rose Caldwell. After your father's mother, she taught him to stand up for what's right. And Rose for my mother, who taught me to be strong. Alex felt tears in his eyes. It's perfect. She's perfect. As if she understood, Eliza's tiny hand moved, pressing against the glass where her parents' hands met. Outside the room, Lucas made security plans for the newest Caldwell. Dr. Adrian Wells began writing notes, thinking about the future of genetic research, and Catherine stood watching, her heart healing as she saw love win over fear and lies. But in that moment, inside the room, there was only this: a family, finally together. A story rewritten, and a tiny miracle who had changed everything. I love you, Alex whispered to Lena, kissing her forehead. Both of you, more than I ever thought possible. Lena leaned into him, their daughter between them. Their future was bright, full of love. And outside, the sun rose over New York City. A new day, a new beginning, a new legacy built not on power, but on love. Eliza Rose Caldwell slept peacefully, not knowing that she had already changed the world. She was both an ending and a beginning, the final chapter of an old story and the first page of a new one. A story of truth, healing, family. A story of love. Thanks for watching. If you liked the story, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share your thoughts in the comments. Check out our other videos too. See you in the next one.